All right, welcome back. So I'm Ryan M. Shade, LCSW, therapist. I'm the guy your therapist comes to see for therapy. And in our first video, I started out by explaining some of the basics of cognitive behavioral theory, right? And ultimately the idea that it's not the events of your life, but the meaning and power you give to them that create your emotion, that create your behavior. And so cognitive behavioral therapy is about learning how to change your cognitions, your thoughts, and learning how to change your behaviors in order to change your entire experience of the world. So the next, I think, logical question, and what I want to address on this video, is if this is what's going on, if we're going to drink the Kool-Aid of CBT, cognitive behavioral theory or therapy, then where do these automatic thoughts come from? And automatic thoughts, understand them as the mental tapes that are running in the background and have been running in the background most of your life that tell you about the world. Specifically about yourself, about other people, and about the setup of the world. So, where do these automatic thoughts come from? And especially if we have negative automatic thoughts or automatic thoughts that don't help us, where do these come from? So what the theory says is that at the very foundation, at the very core of our understanding and being, is what the theory calls your schemas. And another easy way to understand this is your core beliefs, right? So you have core beliefs about yourself, other people in the world, and your core beliefs then lead to these thoughts that you have and the appraisals that you give to the things that happen, right? So if everybody is inconsiderate and a big jerk and nobody cares about anybody else, then when I get cut off in traffic, my cognitive appraisal might be that, you know what, nobody cares about anybody else, the world is screwed up, blah, 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 which then leads to emotion. And sometimes the emotion is anger, sometimes it's hopelessness or helplessness, but ultimately we can understand our foundational beliefs about the world lead us to be able to see and understand this process. So, what you have to understand about schemas is core beliefs. There's lots of reasons that we have schemas. Natural laws and the way the natural world works are schemas. Right? So if you believe in gravity, I believe in gravity. If I let go of this marker, we both know which direction it's going to go. And I don't have to do it to make sure, and then do it 10 more times to make sure it's repeatable. I know it because it always works, and it's always worked my entire life. So I have a schema that says I don't have to think about gravity in order for it to work, and in order for it to work the same way all the time. If I didn't have that schema, I really wouldn't be able to walk. Right? Because I wouldn't know how my weight would fall against my feet every single step. So every step, okay, I'm all right. Okay, I'm all right. So we have to understand then that we have schemas to shortcut our world. We have schemas about, for example, all of our senses, right? So if you're listening to me right now and you have some other sounds going on, you're not paying attention to those sounds because those sounds aren't important. Your brain has parsed out what's important, what's not important. So you pay attention to what's important. Really easy one, you haven't thought about how your clothes feel against your skin until right now. But that data has been coming into your brain the entire time, and your brain's been filtering it out to tell you what's important. If you have a tag poking you, or if an insect lands on you, or if your phone vibrates or something like that, all of a sudden, boom, it comes into your awareness, you do something about it, and then it goes out of your awareness again. So 45 seconds from now, you won't think about how your clothes feel against your skin. So we have a lot of schemas about the natural world. There's a lot of schemas also about driving, right? So if I'm driving toward a green light, I have a schema that says the cross traffic has red lights, the lights are working properly, and everyone's going to stop. And the vast majority of the time, that schema actually works very well. If you didn't have that schema, you'd have to stop at every green light just to make sure the lights were working, everybody was stopped, and then go through, and you'd probably piss off a lot of people behind you, right? So we have these schemas to shortcut our world because we cannot pay attention to all the data that's coming in at any given time. In fact, we are massively overstimulated. I think all of us know this, but I remember reading a text from the 1700s that was talking about people being overstimulated at that time. So if you can just imagine, they felt overstimulated. Now, 300 years later, we're massively overstimulated for what our brains can handle. So we have to parse out, we have to decide what's important, what's not important, and as we decide those things, those things lock into these schemas, these beliefs about how the world works and what we can do. So your schemas about the natural world are not that important, right? Because they work. And so that's fine. The schemas that I find in my office constantly that I'm helping people work through are 5 different schemas. There's more core, what we call maladaptive schemas or maladaptive core beliefs, but these 5 seem to be the ones that completely come down in terms of that. Number 1, I'm not good enough, right? And again, we're looking at this as a core belief, right? So I have a feeling you or I are probably not good enough, let's say at an Olympic sport, to medal in the next Olympics. A few people in the world are, but I know I'm not. So me feeling like I'm not good enough as a human actually doesn't make sense. Not good enough at certain things, sure, right? If we have the data that says we're not good enough. But I'm not good enough as a core belief is a foundational understanding. It's actually the shame schema. And so if you know Brene Brown's work and like Brene Brown's work, she does an incredible amount of work on shame. That's a core belief that I'm not good enough. And so when we have that, then everything is put through that filter. I had a student one time who had said to me that they were explaining this in this way. We are given lenses, let's say blue lenses, and we're looking at the world through those blue lenses. And if you've ever worn sunglasses, you know that after a while you don't even notice that they're there. And then when you actually have some kind of experience where you have to take them off, all of a sudden you go, whoa, like I didn't even realize, how different my view was. So let's say you've had these blue lenses on for a very long time, and I hold up a lemon. You're gonna see it through those blue lenses and it's gonna look green. And so you're probably gonna say to me, that's a really big lime. It doesn't make it a lime because you perceive it that way, but that's your lenses, that's your automatic thoughts that are based on these schemas, these lenses that you're seeing the world through. So, I'm not good enough is a core negative belief. I'm not worthy of love. I'm insignificant or unimportant. I'm not safe or I can't keep myself safe. And I'm defective. These seem to be the 5 that I see over and over. And again, there are more, but everything seems to funnel down into these ones, and especially into this sort of like not good enough. So if we have these schemas that are leading to the automatic thoughts, then ultimately the events of our lives are viewed through this lens and then lead to the emotions and behaviors that we have. So when people feel like their emotions are out of their control, what therapy helps them do is slow down and understand the thoughts. So in our next video, I'm going to talk about schemas and where these schemas come from, and also a little bit about trauma theory. So thanks for watching.